now I'm noodling with the ukulele again. This ukulele just got a repair, and I'm using it to put out a quick video that this is the time of year you need to think about humidity, particularly if you are in the US, in a dry state, in a western state, in a northern state, or you just have the heat on in your house a lot of the time. It'll dry out. This one here is a spruce top. I'll see if I can get close to you. I don't know if you can see the seam right here. It came apart where the center seam would be between the two book match joins of the spruce top there, and I couldn't get the gap to close. The wood had warped enough to where it wouldn't close even with humidity, water put inside, a damp it put inside of the ukulele, and the top sealed off so that it swelled and closed. I couldn't get it to quite close, so I just ended up having to glue it and cleat it. It's scarred, which makes it harder to sell, but it's functional. It plays, and from a distance it looks fine. But this happened because you know, it was in transit and dried out, and when I got it, I couldn't. I didn't catch it quick enough. I put it in my storage area, and I have humidity devices all around my house. But the damage was already done, and it pulled apart here where the center seam is, and I just had to repair it as best as possible. But be thinking about that. If you only own a guitar or two, you can get the dampits or the internal humidifiers that fit in the sound hole, and just keep them in your case, and make sure that you add water to the sponge every other week or something like that, and you'll be fine. That normally takes care of things. If you are like me and you have guitars all over the place, and I get lots of guys coming over here, always guys, and then, you know, the first thing out of the mouth is, oh, I have about 15 guitars, I got a Martin and a Taylor, and they start listing off their arsenal. And then I say, well, do you have a humidifier in the room where you keep the guitars? No, it's never been a problem, you know, or something like that. And I tell them, you know, get yourself a 5-gallon humidifier, put it in the room with your guitars. You thank me for it later down the line. And I use things like this as a prop to tell people this is what can happen. Now, luckily this didn't split somewhere else in the wood. It split where the seam is. That's a bit unsightly, but I can glue it together, cleat it. I can even put a little bit more finish over the top and then sand it down, and it'll be as good as new. It'll always be scarred because the wood warped. It won't quite close. But it's level. It's not stepped or anything. So this is just the type of things that can happen, and most people have 2 or 3 vents in every room of their house, so it's hard to put your guitar somewhere where it's not going to be near a heating vent. So that makes humidity even more important. Now I use big Vornado 10-gallon tank humidifiers. I have a couple of them and a couple small ones around my house. Because, you know, I've got guitars, cellos, violins, all kinds of stuff, which comes and goes, and I want to make sure that it doesn't crack or dry out. So that's the way I take care of it. If you want to know more about that, I do have a video actually showing that device and how I do it. But get something, especially if you have vintage or expensive or higher end guitars. Get something that will keep the wood humidified so you don't get splits and cracks during this winter spell. Not only is it dry outside, the moisture drops outside in most places, but with all of the heating devices in your house, unless you have a water heater, and even some of those don't put off vapor so they can still dry up your instruments. I know it's not as big of a problem in the UK, where you get a lot more precipitation, but even in the UK, if you have an instrument next to a heat source, I know that a lot of people have the boilers rather than the heat blowers, over there. But even just heat, like a coal fire or a wood burner, can dry out an instrument fairly quickly. So be aware of that and make sure that you humidify your instruments. It's that time of year. All right, see you next time.